And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Got the NBA Jam going. That's right there for you. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcast. Plus also as well, of course, Inside Sports Fantasy Football. We just dropped a new episode this week talking about free agency. Chris Sardieri and I go over the winners and losers of free agency and how it will affect your fantasy football team this fall. So go ahead and check it out today. Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Pop Culture Cosmos, like I mentioned, Melinda and I just dropped another episode as well, also releasing to radio stations worldwide, where we cover Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire. We also talk about all the great things that's going on in the world of entertainment. So please go ahead and check it out today, wherever you get your podcasts. Also as well, Joe Soro, you know he's hanging around somewhere. Go ahead and check him out today at LakersBall.com. It's Ox1947, his company Simblades. Of course, the Lakerholics crew, Laker Tom and Jamie Sweet, they were here earlier today. If you've not seen that video yet, after I'm on with Mueez, go ahead and check out the video from earlier today with the Lakerholics. And of course, Laker Tom has his strong views on the Lakers as always. So go ahead and check it out. The guys from Lakerholics.com. Our good friends, John Costa from Lakers Corner and Clutch Talk, Lakers in 5, Empire Jeff TV, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Yo, John McCallan. Go ahead and support all those great channels, plus this channel as well, by liking, following, and subscribing. I know you're on YouTube and you hear all of us YouTubers say the same thing over and over and over and over. But we look at the stats. We know who's not subscribed yet. We know who is subscribed. We know who's not liking the videos. We do know who's liking the videos. It helps a lot to all those algorithms and Googleisms and YouTubeisms and whatever isms you want to go ahead and say, because if you like, follow, and subscribe, even for those out there on Facebook, please follow us if you can to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break podcast. So we thought we'd throw in an extra episode of Lakers Weekend because this man, my guest today, returns to us. He said, Gerald, with the Pacers coming up tomorrow, we got to talk Lakers and Pacers. And I said, you know what? I've got some time, so let's do it. It is a good man indeed. You got to go ahead and check him out today on 8points9seconds.com. It is Mueez Azfar. And Mueez, welcome back to the show, my friend. He's rocking the NBA Jam shirt.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Three-peat, third time I'm on here.
Yeah, let's absolutely. Go. Always great to have you on as many times as you want, my friend. It is.
For sure.
Your specialty obviously is the Indiana Pacers, in which we've talked about now for, on the other two occasions you've been on this show. But I want to ask you this. The season for both teams has not gone, I think, in the direction fully that both teams have wanted it to go to since they met up in Vegas for the IST, the in-season tournament. Yes, the Lakers won. That's great. It was an extra game. Boy, I will say this, though. The Lakers, as we're trying to get Mueez back here real quick. Mueez, are you still with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but your videos. Oh, right. There you go. All right. Switching the cameras right there for you. Yes. So
there you go.
The IST, again, the Lakers and the Pacers. Since then, the season hasn't gone quite up to what both Indiana and the Lakers have expected. They're still in the playoff chase. They're still in the playoff play-in mix, as it were. But the seasons for both teams has not gone exactly the way they planned coming out of Vegas.
Right. I mean, for the Pacers, at the time we were, say, overachieving because Vegas had us at around 39 wins and missing the playoffs if just squeaking in. But expectations change. Of course, we no longer have a lot of the guys that we had at that time of the first in-season tournament game. We don't have Bruce Brown anymore. We don't have Buddy Hield anymore. We don't have Jordan Nwora anymore because we added Pascal Siakam. And that trade essentially skewed expectations in a higher direction because you can't expect to go, 39, 40 and 42 anymore when you have two all-stars on your team,
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Well,
Was
no,
that?
what I wanted to say is absolutely the Pascal Siakam trade has benefited as far as the look of your team, but the style of play, you guys were a high octane offense heading into that IST game. Coming out of it, obviously that was still a big part of what you guys were all about, but the league itself has changed. The officiating has changed. In January, there was a memo sent out by Adam Silver in regards to the referees deciding that they wanted to go ahead and change the way they referee games, obviously leading to a reduction in the way that points are scored. And it's led to that. It's not as exactly as offensively, energized as it once was earlier this season. Whether or not it's an attractive game, I'll leave that up to each individual. But your thoughts on how this has affected the Pacers, because the slowdown in play, my friend, since the start of the calendar year has probably affected the Pacers more than any other team out.
Yeah. I was just about to say, and of course we are still the best offense in the league, leading the league in points per game. I believe before the new year, in the 31 games before the new year, we averaged around 126, 127 a game. And then since the new year, since that one Milwaukee game, we've been at around 120 a game. So definitely has gone down a little bit. That's what happens when they start to crack down on the fouls. I believe if you're talking about the fouls and the style of play, I believe that first Pacers-Lakers game, that in-season tournament game, had like a record for fouls or free throws or something. It was kind of annoying how they wouldn't let either team play on.
True, but it led to higher scoring output. I know that also as well, even though it was one of the most exciting games of the season, I know that the league may have not been happy with the Golden State Warriors and the Lakers when they went into a nationally televised game in overtime with a 145-144 victory for the Lakers. Again, it was a very exciting game, but still, I know the NBA was not pleased with it heading into that offensive direction. So I think they did a correction. I'm not sure I liked it, but it is what it is. And the Lakers and also the rest of the NBA, the scoring has gone down, but the team that it might affect it most, like I said, as you said, 6 points difference is a huge
Right.
difference in the style of the Indiana Pacers, but also Tyrese Halliburton, who you just put an article out on,
Yes, sir.
was injured right around that time, around the calendar years. So,
Exactly.
yeah. So, with that said and done, Tyrese Halliburton, his injury also played a part in the fact that I think it caused a lot of the early year struggles as far as the early calendar year struggles for the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, if I'm looking at stats here, in the 35 games before his injury, we were averaging around 126, 127 a game, and you were right. It basically a bang on correlation with the changing of the rule, with the changing of the Adam Silver changing the style of play, and his injury. We're up to around 119, which is around 7 or 8 points down. Which, I mean, hey, Tyrese is the engine of our offense. He is the beacon of our offense. And if you have your best player, not only your best player, but the leader of a still historically efficient offense, that's going to matter. It doesn't matter what rules change, what rules don't. If Tyrese Halliburton is either not on the court or not producing at the level that he usually is, it's going to hurt you.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it is. Once again, it is Mueez Azfar. Please go ahead and check out the great work that he's doing, including his latest article he dropped earlier today on 8points9seconds.com. Tyrese Halliburton is the subject of his latest article, so hopefully you get a chance. But the thing is now, Tyrese Halliburton, as you stated, he is on the way back to getting
Yes.
to where he needs to be. His
Yes.
shot still hasn't come around fully. I mean, that's obviously one of the last things to take place. But if it does, and he can get back to where he once was with Pascal Siakam and the rest of the Indiana Pacers, how far do you think they can go in this year's playoffs?
All right. Well, with the Tyrese thing, it's funny because the entire first half of the season, me and a lot of other Pacers fans' sentiment was like, okay, our offense is incredible, historic, one of the best of all time, because at that time it was statistically. But the defense was awful. I think we were by far and away the best offense in the league, but defensively we were like top 3 worst. And I think our defense is also historically awful. When the Pascal trade happened, that was when Tyrese was still out. He got injured on the 8th. That trade happened on the 17th. And at that time, it was like, okay, let's get Tyrese back to full form. And we got Pascal. Pascal is, in my opinion, one of the most consistent players in the league. Like, even the guy's bad games, he affects the game in ways other than scoring. He can shoot 4 for 12 and still give you good defense and rebounding, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So my thing was, all right, Pascal's here. He's gonna carry us through the lulls of not having Tyrese, because last season when Tyrese wasn't playing, it was pretty ugly. It was pretty ugly. We went on a big losing streak. I think we went like 2 of 9 at one point, 2 and 9 at one point. It was ugly. But with Pascal there, I think we improved to, I think, around the 6 or 7 games we played without Tyrese after that. If I can check real quick, I believe we went around, let me check here. It was the Sacramento game, and he came back in the Boston game. We went 4-3. We went 4-3 in the game since the trade and Tyrese's return against Boston. And of course, he did return in that Portland game. Played very well, in fact. But I think myself and a lot of Pacers fans knew that it wasn't going to last, because hamstring injuries, they're pretty hard to come back from. And with him only sitting out 11 days since that initial injury, coming back, it was a miracle he played as well as he did. But when the news came out that he was going to have to miss the next 3 to 5 games, it wasn't really a big hit for me and a lot of Pacers fans, because we knew that coming back from a hamstring injury is tough already, but coming back in less than 2 weeks, that's even tougher. And if we wanted, and of course, you know, the 65 game requirement for the all NBA teams, of course, you've heard that. That's one of the big things keeping him playing, because let's face it, 50 million is generational money. That's that'll set you up for life. And I don't blame the guy for wanting to earn that. And he's made a pretty good case for himself as all NBA.
Absolutely. And they did get a good victory last night against the Golden State Warriors. Appreciate Indiana beating the Golden State Warriors to help give some better distance for the Lakers on that.
Funny you mentioned that. I appreciate you guys for beating the Sixers. That put us a game and a half above in the 6th seed. Thank you.
Well, no worries. Thank you in kind.
Yes,
I know my good friend Alfred Esmond, who's also been on the show, covers the Orlando Magic, is also excited to see where they're I guess, playing at a level above what many thought as well. So it's good to see Indiana and Orlando near the top of the standings. But I think for Indiana, the focus, I know for you as a writer and fan of the Indiana Pacers and the Indiana Pacers at large, I know the focus is staying as far away, as much away as you can from Boston in the playoffs. So
there you go.
I'm assuming 6 right now where they're at is probably a desired place where they want to be, because again, if they don't have to meet, or if it lines up where they don't have to meet Boston until a possible Eastern Conference matchup, as far as in the finals, Eastern Conference finals, that would be the most desired amount, because again, Boston has just been laying waste to everyone in the East.
Yes, exactly. I was just about to say that. I don't want us to fall in the play-in, because if we lose one of those play-in games, it's either miss the playoffs or get swept by Boston. Even though we went 2-3 against Boston, which is respectable. I mean, I think we have like around the best record, one of the best records against Boston this season at 2-3, but this team's going to turn it up in the playoffs. I already know. For as good as they are right now, they're going to turn it up in the playoffs. And I think there are like maybe 2 teams in the league that can stop them. Neither of which are the Pacers. So, yeah, if we, as far away from Boston as we can stay, is ideal. Right now we're at 6, and if the playoffs started today, we'd face Cleveland, which I don't hate our chances. We beat them 2 times earlier in the season. We did lose to them shorthanded about a week ago, but I think around when the playoffs come, this team is going to realize they can't start playing down to competition. Not saying that we're better than Cleveland, but I'm saying that I think we match up pretty well against them.
Against Boston?
Against Cleveland.
Against Cleveland, okay. Because I was going to
Not
say,
against Boston.
yeah, that's going to be a hard deal against anybody unless they have some type of injuries on the eastern side of things. Boston has looked strong. Cleveland obviously has had its problems injury-wise all season long, but he has maintained a good spot in the NBA standings as far as in the Eastern Conference is concerned. Milwaukee is starting to distance themselves as far as in second place. That's a team, though, that has had its struggles from time to time. If it should be where Indiana meets up with Milwaukee, do you guys feel that you have a substantial chance of beating a Giannis, Damian Lillard-led team in the playoffs?
That's tough because in the playoffs, Giannis is Giannis and Dame is Dame. I mean, those guys are going to get theirs regardless. And they have improved under Doc Rivers, surprisingly. But the thing is, it's the mental advantage. It's the mental advantage. We have a 4-1 record over them. And we, I think in those January games, the first and the third, before Tyrese got injured, we destroyed them. Beat them by, I think, both games. We beat them by double digits. After that game ball fiasco that I'm sure you remember, after that, it was basically we smelled blood in the water. And Tyrese even said he wanted to smoke after those games. So I think if we face the Bucks in the playoffs, I think we're gonna take it longer than people expect. I think a lot of casual fans, a lot of people expect the Lakers to lose in, say, 4 or 5. I think we could take that to 6 or 7 because we destroyed them in those 2 games, and that was without Pascal Siakam. Now we have Siakam on there, a guy who can guard wing players like Middleton, can help slow down, not stop, but slow down Giannis. I think at this point we're starting to match up well with essentially every team except for the Celtics. I'll say that again.
Once again, it is Mueez Azfar. Please go ahead and check out all the great work that he's doing today at 8 points, 9 seconds, right there for you. He has a ton of articles on the Indiana Pacers. So if you want to become more familiar with them before the game tomorrow night and what they've been doing all season, please go ahead and check it out today at 8points9seconds.com. Mueez, again, the Lakers tomorrow against the Indiana Pacers. It's something, again, both teams still needing the victories, still needing to keep where they're at in the standings, because I don't think, again, with 12 games left, the Lakers are going to be anywhere other than 9th place. Possibility they could slide down to 10th, but having them climb up over Sacramento, who has the tiebreaker, I think is a very tall ask at this point in time, especially with the Lakers having a big road trip on the horizon. So I'm assuming the odds are saying that if the Lakers just even go 500 or a little bit above, that they will probably maintain the 9th position in the Western Conference. With that said, though, I mean, when it comes right down to it, everything is probably going to have to go through Boston in the East and Denver in the West. Those teams have been outstanding. Denver just seems like at times it's been on cruise control. They're just worried about their health. I think it's to the point where you have the current champions playing through the season, already knowing how good they are, just trying to maintain health in order to go ahead and be able to finish the season strong. When it has Boston is a team that knows they're talented, but doesn't know how far it can go because they've never been able to get the job done all the way. So it's very interesting to see if any of these teams, like an Indiana, a Milwaukee, or in the West, like a Lakers or whoever in the Western Conference, can try and sneak by one of these teams. But as of now, do you see anyone at this point upending a impending Nuggets Boston matchup in the finals?
Now, I told you a second ago that there are 2 teams who I think can beat the Celtics in the playoffs. One of them is Denver. The other is New York. I think because New York has that defense. Yes, that stifling defense. And if you look at the stats, the Boston Celtics, I believe, in losses only have, I believe, the second worst offensive rating in losses. The worst offensive rating in losses is the Washington Wizards, and the second worst is the Boston Celtics. If New York can use that defensive pressure and get say Tatum, Brown, those guys out of their rhythm, I think they have a puncher's chance. Milwaukee, I think Dame and Giannis thing, that's a talent thing. They could very well do it, but I think if you get a motivated New York Knicks team in the playoffs, because Brunson is a playoff riser, you have a bunch of guys, great defenders, Anunoby, Mitchell Robinson will be back. I think if I'm gonna bet on any team beating the Celtics before the finals, it's going to be the Knicks or the Bucks outside chance.
That's good. That's a tall order for the Knicks. I mean, again,
Right.
with the Celtics, they are so reliant on the 3 points as far as the 3-point shot, because they shoot it so well, so efficiently. But they've got a secret weapon in Porzingis. They decide to go to post up Porzingis, that can pose problems for a team like the Knicks or a team like Cleveland. I think Milwaukee still, if they're healthy, and Middleton is the key for me, matches up well, or it's healthy, they match up well with Boston. I really think that Milwaukee is the only team I think in the East. I think with New York, they just don't have enough along the perimeter, or especially at the forward position. And especially if they have Julius Randle back, because if Julius Randle, I love him. Great guy, played for the Lakers, but his game is, it's tough to watch.
Inconsistent.
It's tough to watch. It's so ISO driven. It's so ISO heavy.
Bully ball.
Yeah, it's a lot of bully ball. He has to be on point. He has to be at a top tier in order for that to work in a playoff series. But again, I think that Milwaukee has the best chance of beating the Boston Celtics in the East. Who do you think in the West might have a chance to pull off an upset on the Denver Nuggets?
Nobody. I don't think OKC, because they're too young. I think they're too young. And if they have a full negative to the team starting in Josh Giddey, who does not fit them. He does not fit their offense in any way, with SGA being more of a playmaker, can't defend, can't shoot. If they have him starting, they don't have a chance. And Minnesota, I like Minnesota, but depends on Towns. And maybe if Towns can come back in time for the playoffs and is at, the Towns that we know, the Karl-Anthony Towns we know, there's a chance they could beat him. But I think at this point, it's Denver against the rest of the West.
Once again, it is Mueez Azfar. Please go ahead and check out his work today at 8points9seconds.com. Did you look up Glenn Rice on Google? Glenn Rice was a part of a world championship team for the Los Angeles Lakers. Come on, Louie.
Come on, man.
Come on, Louie.
Even I know Glenn Rice.
Yeah, come on. Give it up, man. And then he said, did you look up Eddie Jones as well? Come on.
Come on. That's Tyrese's cousin. Of course I know him.
Yeah, come on, guys. Come on, Louie. Come on. Give it up. Go. Just enjoy. Watch. Don't be a hater. We like having you on the show. We like having you in the chat, the best Lakers chat room that's out there, Lakers Fast Break. But come on. Let it go. Enjoy. Learn to understand that we know the NBA. We follow the NBA on a regular basis here at the Lakers Fast Break. And all our great guests, all our great shows, all our great performers, all our great hosts and panelists, we do follow the NBA. So, yes, we are familiar with all the names that you're throwing out there. But when it comes right down to it, Mueez, it is the Lakers and Indiana tomorrow. It is a key game, a pivotal game, because the Lakers, even though they are heading back east for their last road trip of the year, I don't take anything for granted, because the Lakers have absolutely sucked on the road. Let's just not beat around the bush.
Their record on the road?
A record on the road. Have you taken a look at it compared to the rest?
Have not.
Yes, it's not pretty. It's 12-20, my friend. They're the only team under 500 in the Western Conference that's in the playoff mix. If you want to include Houston, that would be 2. But right now, in the top 10 teams, they are by far the worst road team. So the Lakers have a chance to go ahead before they head out on the road to get a win against Indiana. Indiana, it's been on the road trip, catching them maybe a time where they're a little bit fatigued, but still, I expect a good matchup. I also expect Indiana to have a long memory of what happened in the ISD. To your knowledge, as far as any of the words that have been spoken, how much has the loss in the ISD affected or Indiana, or have they spoken about it at length in post game interviews on how forward they're looking to maybe a rematch against the Los Angeles Lakers?
I'll say this. I'll say this. Tyrese, after the IST game, he was pretty heated, saying that the season's over. That people were saying the season's over. The Pacers suck. He was cursing in his post game interview, saying people aren't graduating. It's not over. So I think he's definitely going to have a chip on his shoulder, and it's especially great that we've got 2 good games in a row out of Tyrese after one of his worst games of the season against Cleveland. We got a good game against Detroit, and then a good game against an actually competitive team in Golden State. So, and on the bright side, 4 of 8 from 3 against Golden State, including 2 heaves. So, if we get that confidence back, if Tyrese can get that confidence back, play like he's been playing before the injury, bring that connection to Siakam back that they had earlier. Of course, Pascal had 25 and 16 in that last game against Golden State. He's been, of course, one of the most consistent players in the league, like I've said. I think Tyrese is going to be the key, man, because this guy's going to take us as far as we want to go, and he's going to give us the worst losses that we can get, as we've seen in the season.
So I ask you this: you have a definitive 1-2 on your team, like the Lakers do, and for us, D'Angelo Russell has stepped up with his since the turn of the calendar year, since he was brought back from the bench and put back in the starting lineup. He has shot tremendously. Now he's well above 40% from 3-point area. He has now been established as, I guess, the best thing that's number 3. Does he play crappy defense? Absolutely. He can't play defense, but he has been a sharpshooter from the outside. That exactly what we need. So he's played at a level consistent with what we're looking for as a decent number 3 option. I would like better, but right now it's what it is. When it comes to Indiana in the playoffs, you obviously have Halliburton needing to shoot efficiently. I think that's something because he will be double teamed. He will be a focus. I think that Siakam, he'll be trapped. I think Siakam, that any team out there is going to let him go to town. They're going to say, if Siakam, you can beat us, by all means, because they don't fear Siakam at this stage of his career. They fear Halliburton. I think that's the one player that on Indiana that you really look at the most. But who is that number 3 guy that steps up for you guys? Because I know it's not definitive, but who is the next person that has to step up in a playoff matchup? I'm not saying against the Celtics. It's not fair to assess that. But against anyone else in the playoffs, in a playoff matchup, who is that next guy that has to step up for the Indiana Pacers?
If you were asking me this question a couple weeks ago, I would have told you Benedict Mathurin, because I think Benedict Mathurin's game is best suited for the playoffs, the way he can slow it down, the way he can get a bucket by himself. I think he's one of 3 guys on the team who we give the ball to and we say, okay, go get yours.
But he is out for the season, correct, with this injury?
That's correct.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Without Mathurin, it's going to have to be Miles Turner. And Miles Turner is going to, of course, in the headlines, broke the Pacers franchise record for blocks yesterday. Turner is going to have to, really come into his own. Of course, hasn't played playoff basketball until since 2020. And then it was a quick 4-game sweep against the Miami Heat in the bubble. But Turner, I think, is going to have to basically shake some of his non-aggressiveness off and play in the paint as much as he can, because when he is in the paint, when he is motivated, when he wants to back down, hit that jump hook, hit that post fade, he's pretty good. And of course, pick and fade to the 3-point line. There are a few big men who can shoot that open shot better. And I do see that you'll be missing heel shooting. I do agree. But here's the thing. Though. First of all, that man didn't want to be here. We weren't going to re-sign him. Might as well get something for him. Here's the thing. We got shooters. We got Tyrese. Pascal's shooting 38-39% since the trade. We got Miles who can shoot it. We got Ben Shepherd, who's been coming into his own. We got Obi Toppin, one of the most efficient players in the league. The shooting is starting to come back. I know we've been in a slump the past few games, but hey, I mean, if there's one thing the Pacers are short on, it's not shooters. I'll tell you that.
Well, the thing is, though, you don't have a definitive number three. You talk about Miles Turner. Miles Turner has been an enigma for the Indiana Pacers because, you signed him to big contracts. You signed him to that big extension. I think you guys were expecting something of more when it comes to Miles Turner, and you get it every now and then. I mean, we talk about Anthony Davis here on the show a lot about how he plays well against, like, for instance, last night, played outstanding, 20 something points, 19 rebounds, just video game numbers. But that's against Mo Bamba and the Philadelphia 76ers. But when it comes right down to it, he has not stepped up against Sabonis, not stepped up against Jokic the way we need him to do so. So even he is inconsistent. But when Miles Turner is a player on the Eastern Conference without the plethora of big men, talented big men, it's just surprising how you don't get consistent effort, how you don't get consistent production at a high level from him. It seems like it's a missed opportunity. It seems like it'll be a missed opportunity once his career and time is done in Indiana.
Now, see, I do agree with some of what you said. I think Turner, his good games are make you think, oh, this guy's going to be an all-star. This guy's going to be, just wait for him to be unleashed.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah, but then his bad games, like that one he had against the Lakers in the IST, where he was getting thrown around by Anthony Davis, basically getting put in a torture chamber. You're like, is this guy really who people say he is? Is he really the top premier defender, shot blocker, three-point specialist that people think he is? I think with Turner, he's going to have to step it up in the playoffs because I think him and Aaron Nesmith are our two X factors. If those two aren't on our game, when the second unit comes in, and Miles usually stays in with the Patriots second unit, when the other team's second unit comes in, it's going to be up to Turner to be that leading scorer because Mathurin is out for the season. Like I said, we don't have a guy who can create his own shot anymore. Miles Turner is the closest to that, but he's going to have to step it up in the playoffs if we want a chance at beating a Cleveland, if we want a chance at beating a Milwaukee or anything like that.
You mentioned Aaron Nesmith, and he's the one player I wanted to make sure we talk about before we head on out. And the reason why I say that's because he was once considered a failed draft choice from Boston.
A bust.
Yeah, bust, yeah, to say the least. Well, we have a bust this year in Jalen Hood-Schifino, but need I digress on that? From Indiana, no less. So
yeah,
that's been terrible. And now he's gone for the season. So yeah, that's unfortunately all water in the bed at this point. But when it comes right down to it, Aaron Nesmith was once thought of in that same realm as Jalen Hood-Schifino is now, but he has resurrected his career. He's found a place on a team that has been able to utilize his talents, and not only as a stretch wing, but somebody who can guard a decent amount of players in this league. Tell us about the growth of Aaron Nesmith and how much of a pleasure it's been to watch him grow and excel with the Indiana Pacers.
Man, I can't tell you how happy I am for the guy because when he was drafted out of Vanderbilt in 2020, I thought, okay, this guy's pretty good, but he went to the worst possible position. He went to a contender. He went to Boston. They weren't going to develop him. And I'm looking at his stats over here in Boston. He averaged 4 points, 41% from the field, 32% from three. That wasn't going to last because they didn't need him. They didn't need Aaron Nesmith. They had Tatum. They had Brown. They picked up Pritchard. They had a bunch of guys who were ahead of Nesmith in the rotation. And Nesmith, if he stayed in Boston, he probably would have been out of the league by now. Probably would have been in the G League. Probably would have been overseas or something. But he got that opportunity. And I remember people were laughing. A lot of Celtics fans were laughing when we traded him for Brogdon. When that Brogdon trade happened, I'm sure you remember, it was in 2022. When that Brogdon trade happened, people said that we got him for, I don't know if you saw this, the Bleacher Report tweet where it was what the Celtics got for what the Celtics got for Malcolm Brogdon, and it was a paperclip and a piece of tissue. Nesmith apparently saved that in his files because he'd been on a mission since he came to Indiana. His last season was pretty good, 42% from the field, 36 from three, 10 points a game. This season, he's taken it to another level, 50% from the field, fifth best 3-point shooter in the league at 44%, 12 points a game. He has been our most consistent defender before Pascal got here. And with Pascal here, he doesn't have to guard the big wings of other teams. He doesn't have to, because remember, we were putting him on LeBron in the IST game.
Yes,
he spent a lot of minutes on LeBron. He spent a lot of minutes on Giannis. He spent a lot of minutes on Pascal when we played Toronto that one game. Now we got a guy, 6'9", big sturdy dude, who can actually guard the other team's best wing player. And I wish we implemented that more in recent games, because I've seen games where Andrew Nembhard has to guard the other team's best big wing. And my thought is Nesmith is right there. Put him on him, because I've seen games where not Nesmith, but Siakam. Because I've seen games where Pascal uses wingspan, uses length, and takes the other team's best scoring wing out of the game, essentially. I obviously don't think he'll be able to do that with a LeBron James, because you can't do much to stop that guy. But you put him on, say we somehow face New York, you put him on a Julius Randle, you've got something.
Well, we'll see if they do have something coming up here as far as the playoffs are concerned. As long as I think that as they stay in sixth place, because if they go to 4-5, then they will face Boston in the second round. So as long as you try to avoid Boston as long as you can, I think you might be a decent run, and people might be in for a surprise for Indiana. You never know. But again, the tempo has to be high. If the tempo isn't high, as it has a tendency not to do in the playoffs, that might be a little bit tougher for Indiana, but we'll see. But before we head on out, it's the cheap plug time for you, because Mueez, I want you to go ahead and give the hard pitch to everyone out there why they need to go ahead and check out your work at 8 points, 9 seconds.
You know what? I got just the thing. I'll be back.
Okay. All right. Oh, watch out. He's going to go ahead and show us why 8 points.
So remember last time I showed the Miles Turner, the signed hat before as we went off the air. There you go.
All right. Has signed Halliburton. There you go.
Signed in person.
All right.
In person.
Congratulations.
Yes, sir. You can check out my work, 8 points, 9 seconds. You can check out my YouTube, Camitron PTW, KAMITRON PTW. Same as my Twitter, same as my YouTube. That's about it, man. Thank you for having me, and I hope it's a great game.
I hope it's a great game too. Looking forward to it. It is tomorrow. It is the Lakers and Indiana Pacers. I'll be here to make sure with the game it goes right as far as the simulcast is concerned. Playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. Also as well, YouTube and Facebook on the simulcast. You know the post game is the best in town for the Los Angeles Lakers right here at the Lakers Fast Break. And of course, Joe Soro will be topping off your evening with his nightcap, the Lakers Nightcap with Joe Soro. So for Mueez Azfar, it's Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Sovereign, big shout out to you, Kurt, Louis. Even though you were a little harsh on us today, we still got nothing but love for you, my friend. Everybody that stopped on by, David, thank you so much. Appreciate you stopping by. Please like and subscribe, everyone, before you head on out so you can get the latest notifications on when we come back right here to you this Lakers weekend on the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Everybody have a safe weekend and enjoy as much as you can.